Hey everyone, it's Algonath here from Return of the Fan, and got a very interesting review. I think it's a fairly balanced review as well, so I thought we'd go over this one. So this is from Digital Spy by Ian Sandwell, and he says that it's an ambitious yet frustrating adaptation, a well-told story, but still half a story. Well, no kidding, it's supposed to be the first in a series of films. Um, as we all know, Dune has been adapted for screen before with mixed results. I mean, I don't know if any of you watched the David Lynch one. I tried to watch it way back when it came out. I was quite a lot younger back then as well, but it just didn't really resonate with me. Um, as a fan of Frank Herbert's seminal sci-fi novel, Villeneuve refused to squish the novel into one movie like David Lynch did in 1984, because I don't think you can really do that. It's pretty massive story, really. Warner Brothers agreed to a two-part adaptation like it did with Stephen King's It, but it's up to the first part to ensure that Villeneuve gets to return to complete his vision. So fingers crossed, we will get the second one. So if you're thinking about going to see it, then I highly recommend you go and see it. Either in the theatre or sign up for HBO Max, so that we can get the second one made as well. The director is confident that the studio is happy with his first movie and wants the sequel, yet he's admitted that it's still a numbers game. Villeneuve has been stung at the box office before with Blade Runner 2049, so could Dune, or Dune Part 1 as it's called on screen, prove to be second time lucky? Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, that we will get it done. Um, Working with John, I can't pronounce this person's last name, John Spates, I think, and Eric Roth, Villeneuve has adapted roughly half of Herbert's best-selling novel for Dune Part 1. It's a considerable task, as even though it's only half the story, there's a dense and complex world to establish. I can imagine, right? It's going to be quite difficult to establish the world, especially for people that have never read the book or haven't seen the movie that's come before it. So I won't go into the talk about the actual story itself. The planet of Arrakis alone would be a daunting task to adapt, as there's conflict with the Fremen natives to establish alongside the spice mining and some giant deadly sandworms. However, the movie also has to set up the enemies of the Atreides family, including the horrific Ben Harkonnen, played by Stellan Skarsgård, and apparently I've heard he is absolutely outstanding, but he normally is, right? Stellan Skarsgård is an amazing actor, but apparently he gives a really awesome performance in this particular movie, so he's well worth it's worth going just to see him. It's a lot to be juggled, as it's all important background to Dune's main chosen one arc of Paul. Aware that he's only telling half the story, Villeneuve also uses Paul's prophetic dreams to tease what's to come if he gets to tell the rest of the story. For fans and newcomers alike, there are exciting glimpses of events to come and work in much the same way as the MCU teaches future events. So yeah, I mean, I hope that people don't go into the movie thinking they're going to get a complete story and at the end feel kind of a little bit cheated because they don't get everything wrapped up nicely. It's a bit like Alita Battle Angel. I don't know if you're a fan of Alita Battle Angel or not. I am a huge fan of Alita Battle Angel, but I'm so annoyed that they didn't get the money to create the next films so that we can actually carry on the story and see what happens. So that's a little bit annoying. James Cameron has got tons of money. He could almost fund the entire movie himself if he wanted to. That would be really awesome. But fingers crossed, Alita Battle Angel will also get made too. To the writer's credit, Dune Part 1, or Dune, is really confusing for newcomers in spite of the sheer wealth of information. That's really good to hear. So for newcomers, they're not going to get confused or bogged down by all the details that they're trying to bring through from the novel into the film. So it sounds like you don't have to know a lot about Dune beforehand to actually enjoy the movie, which it needs to be, because there won't be a massive numbers of people who are fans of the books that go to see the movie, right? There might be smaller details only captured by fans or on a second viewing, yet in utilising the two-part approach, Herbert's world is brilliantly realised on screen. That really sounds really good too. However, while it's commendable that Villeneuve has given the world time to breathe on screen, it does affect the pacing. Dune Part 1 clocks in at a weighty 155 minutes, and for large parts there feels to be minimal forward momentum as time is spent on exposition and world building. I really love world building. I love to see movies that can build on their universe and environment and capture us into it. I really love the world building that went on in Alita Battle Angel. That was really awesome. So I'm really looking forward to Dune now, because I want to see that world building, to see what happens, and hopefully we get a really cool story out of it as well. It's something that works better on the page than it does on screen. Obviously, yes, because on the page you can spend a lot more time world building than on the screen, and it's exacerbated by the fact that we're only seeing half the story. Fans who know where it's going might feel more lenient towards the measured pacing, but for others it will feel just as the movie starts getting going towards something, it ends. Oh no. Hopefully people don't feel that way. If they say come and see part 2, that would be really awesome. This wouldn't be an issue if we do see part 2, as it's no different to how the likes of Lord of the Rings and It told one complete story over multiple movies. The problem is that even in a normal world, Dune would be a difficult sell at the box office, so you can't help worrying that this is all we're going to see. I've heard some things that it hasn't been going too badly. I don't know why they released it on HBO Max and at the theaters at the same time. I mean, surely you could have just staggered HBO Max release by a couple of weeks or something to give people a chance to go and see it in the theater. Because from, again, what I've heard, this movie is exquisitely beautiful, and you have to see it on the biggest screen possible. So watching it on your 50-inch, 60-inch TV screen is just not going to do it justice. You really need to see it on the biggest screen possible. IMAX if you can. That would be really, really awesome. That doesn't mean Dune Part 1 is an unsatisfying watch, whether or not that second part is released in the coming years. As to be expected with Villeneuve, it's a classy and beautifully executed sci-fi with a terrific score by Hans Zimmer. Although I have heard comments the score isn't that great by Hans Zimmer standards, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Personally, I'll have to wait and see, because I'm currently locked down here in New Zealand, so I can't get to see it just yet. As a big screen outing, the movie is gorgeous to behold, and you can understand why the director would be worried that some of that awe would be lost on the smaller screen, just as I said before. While it might not be an action-heavy offering, the set pieces don't disappoint when Villeneuve unleashes them, such as dramatic sandworm attack and an explosive nighttime assault. There's political intrigue and an emotional weight to proceedings that mean they're not just empty thrills. With Part 2 set to up the ante, it's an exciting prospect. And well, actually, I prefer that. I don't want bloody action going all over the place like a lot of the Marvel movies. When we get to an action set piece, it should really make it feel really important. If you get lots of action set pieces all the way through the movie, then they're not as important as each other, right? So this sounds really good, actually, to me anyway, because I'm really into sci-fi and I love the world building and exposition, and then having some really awesome set pieces as well. So it goes to talk about the cast and so on. Apparently there's some really good cast in here as well. So Oscar Isaacs, Jason Momoa is in here. So you might not have thought too much about Jason Momoa's acting from the movies he's been in, but apparently he's not too bad in this particular one. If you're a fan of Zendaya, then obviously her role isn't quite so much in the first movie, but apparently she'll have a much greater role in the second movie. So hopefully she'll be really good in that. Anyway, he sums up going, there's a lot to admire in Dune Part 1, especially in terms of the impressive world building, which is awesome. I really love world building. That sounds really cool to me. And the excellent cast. However, you're left thinking about how good the second part will be rather than being totally fulfilled with this movie. Let's hope this isn't only our only visit to Arrakis. Well, I don't think you could really, as stated before, you couldn't do it in one movie unless it was like 4 to 6 hours or something. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. So, there's some good things he talks about it, some bad things he talks about it. So I think it's a fairly balanced review, right? So not one of these people that just says really great things about movies just so that they can keep on the good side of the movie studios and so on. So I thought this is a really balanced review, and I thought it was worth mentioning. So again, let me know what you think. Do you feel heartened about what this reviewer said about the Dune movie? If you've seen it, let me know what you think. How did you think the world building went? Did you think that there was enough action to keep you hooked into the movie? Did it get boring after a while? So I'd really love to hear your comments. Don't put any spoilers in though, just for anyone that might be watching this video and hasn't seen it yet, especially for me as well. I'm not too sure when I'll be able to get to see it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you're welcome to give me a thumbs down. And if you like my content, please subscribe, as it will help the YouTube algorithm to notice my content. And hopefully I will catch you in the next one.